Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today we're being joined by Pat Fenner, author of The Empty Homeschool Nest. Pat, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Paul. It's great to be here today.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
I am.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Oh, I'd say the most important thing would be to find an accountability buddy. And I know that kind of sounds like, it's not tech or anything like that, but it's just, it's what got me through, getting through every step of the way.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Really, I'd say discouragement, which is actually what helped by having an accountability person, friend, because it's just easy. I mean, at least I found it easy to get discouraged every step of the way. I mean, there's always, challenges and everything. When you're self-publishing, it's always a learning curve. And it can be easy to get just discouraged and say, oh, to heck with it. So having somebody to, who's kind of checking in on you periodically and you feel accountable to really helps.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
I found building your network as you write, keeping in touch with people, start with friends and family, of course. I used Facebook connections as well and started building my network as I wrote. So by the time I was ready to publish, I already, launched the book. There were already people who were, felt personally invested in the process and in the product.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it? Well,
honestly, I'm so busy that I really don't have time to read stuff I don't like. So that's a hard question. But I have to say currently my favorite is Marie Forleo's Everything is Figure-Outable. The big takeaway for me on that was not to get waylaid by discouragement. And she really goes into the importance of pivoting to fight that. So rather than allowing discouragement to just stop you in your tracks, use it to pivot and perhaps go a new route.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, actually, I love kids and I love children's stories. And so A.A. Milne, or it's actually a spinoff on an A.A. Milne quote, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." But the twist that I like on that is you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and more loved than you will ever know.
Excellent. Well, Pat, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, my personal website is patfenner.me, but I do a lot of writing for homeschool moms and for about homeschooling at breakthroughhomeschooling.com.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, and I wanted to go a little bit off script and ask you a little bit more about your about homeschooling, because obviously right now with the virus and everything, pretty much that's what all the parents are doing. So what pieces of advice would you give to the parents out there, in particular the ones that are struggling with this whole homeschool journey right now?
Well, I'd really say, first of all, to take a deep breath and go easy on yourself. But then consider the concept of that schools are not there to educate your children, but they're to help you educate your children. So if you kind of look at it as developing a lifestyle of learning where the schools are really just assisting the parents, it kind of turns the whole schooling and teaching and learning around. But it's just a more fulfilling and exciting way to learn when the family's learning together. And don't try to replicate public school in your home. Make it a creative, exciting, interesting activity, and do it together. And it's incredible how it'll build relationships as well as academic success down the road.
Perfect. Well, Pat, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Oh, Paul, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.